Okay, Adam, thanks for being here on time. Welcome everybody to how's that? Can you see now? Okay, perfect. Welcome everybody to our TAC meeting today. We appreciate everybody being here. Feel free to get up and go eat as many donuts as possible, except for the people online. Sorry you don't get to participate in that. Grateful for everybody's attendance, and we'll go right into the agenda. Also, if you haven't signed in to one of the sign-in sheets, please take time to do that so we have a record of who attended. So our first item on the agenda, Ash, thanks for being here. That's what you get for coming late. You get called out. First item on the agenda is an action item to approve the minutes from the March 29th meeting. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion? Thank you very much. Farmington, the motion to approve. Do we have a second? Not all at once. Ash, thank you. That's why you came. Okay, Ash Latoma with Weber County, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, how about online? Any opposed from online? We don't want to forget our online people. Okay, thank you very much. The minutes are approved. The next item, we'd actually like to add another item, 1B, to the agenda. Kelly Nord with the UDOT Central Traffic Operations Manager, is that what it was? Kelly, you'll have to correct her title for us. I apologize for that. Kelly has done a lot of great work throughout the state. She's even done some work for West Point City, helped us do the analysis for a roundabout or intersection improvements, and Kelly is fantastic to work with. We really appreciate her help. So she is going to do a presentation about free traffic monitoring that's available to all of us. But before we allow her to present, Ben suggested that we amend the agenda. So would anybody like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add Kelly Nord's presentation? Thank you. Weber County. Thank you. Thank you very much. Motion by Ash. Do we have a second? Second. Adam, thank you, with Clearfield. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, and online, are there any opposed? Okay, the motion is approved. Kelly, you are officially on the agenda now, and we will turn the time to you for your presentation. I believe she's joining online. Well, we did all that work to amend the agenda. Yeah, no problem. Ben, should we move on? Well, I guess we'll wait for you. Should we go to Andrea? Okay. Okay. Kelly's still on the agenda, but we'll move on to Andrea Olson with TIF update. Andrea, go ahead. You can go there, or you can use this one.
I'll go here. I like to be center stage. No, I don't really. So I just want to give you a quick update on the TIF and TTIF project prioritization process. This is a mouthful. I feel like everything I'm going to say today is a mouthful, but So TIF, just as a quick reminder, Transportation Investment Fund and the Transit Transportation Investment Fund, TIF and TTIF, and they are the funding pots of money for capacity projects. So TIF is typically what we use to build kind of the big highway projects for UDOT. And we have a nomination process. So the projects that can be funded by TIF and TTIF are highway and active transportation projects under TIF, and then transit and first last mile projects under TTIF. So any kind of project that makes a bicycle or pedestrian connection to a transit station is considered a first last mile project. And as a differentiator, this is not, you may have heard in the last legislative session, the Utah Trail Network and the Active Transportation Investment Fund, so that's ATIF, that got passed, and that's about $45 million a year plus an additional $45 million in the first year. That's not what I'm talking about. So ATIF is a completely separate process that UDOT is just kind of getting underway with right now. This is TIF and TIF AT, so feel free to ask questions. You know, it's kind of alphabet soup, and there's nuances and differences between them all, but I'm happy to talk more about it. So for those 4 different project types, highway, AT, transit, first last mile, there's a nomination process for those. So local governments and transit districts are encouraged to submit nominations for those 4 different types of projects. For 3 of them, so for everything except highway, the prioritization process is largely based on nominations. There are some other projects that get put on the list, but it really comes from the nominations that we get from local governments and transit districts. So nominating projects is an important piece of it. So for active transportation, there is a 40% match on the part of the nominator, so on the local government. And on transit and the first last mile, this just got changed this year in the last legislative session, it's a 30% match. But you also have to be able to show that operations of maintenance costs going ahead, that the agency has the ability to fund the O&M costs going ahead. So that nomination process, I hope that you got an email, or your cities got emails from WFRC probably 6 or 8 weeks ago saying we were hoping to open that nomination window at the end of May. We have hours left in May and we are not opening the nomination window. So just an update on that is what we expect right now is that nomination window will be open from June 26th to August 31st. So a little bit more than 2 months once the window opens to get your projects submitted, and then we will review them to make sure that they, fit the criteria to be on the project prioritization process. The process to nominate a project is not onerous. It's a Google form. It's relatively quick. Once a project is nominated and it is determined to be eligible for prioritization, then we'll work with you to get more data. But the initial process is not overwhelming by any stretch. So again, we are anticipating that window is June 26th to August 31st. What I do is send out information to all of the transit districts in the state. I send it to all of the MPOs and AOGs in the state, many different regional organizations, and Utah Association of Counties and Utah League of Cities and Towns. And then they send it to their constituent groups. So you may, as a city, I hope you get it several times. I hope you get it from the League of Cities and Towns and from WFRC. But that's kind of the best way that we have found to get that information dispersed to all of the local governments and all of the districts throughout the state. We have a new website that has a lot of information on project prioritization on it. The website itself is projectprioritization.udot.utah.gov. You can also just go to the UDOT webpage and search project prioritization and it'll get you to the same place. So I think that's kind of the 50,000 foot look, but I am happy to answer any questions that people have on, eligibility requirements, the process that we go through, anything like that. Mhm. It's actually for all four. That's a great question. Thank you. So a local government can nominate a highway project. It does go through a little bit different process because our Transportation Commission has to approve it being on the list to be prioritized. So there is, I kind of call it the safety valve. We automatically prioritize all highway projects that are in phase 1 of the Unified Plan. The Unified Plan is, gosh, sorry, that's my phone that's doing that. I apologize. The phase 1 Unified Plan comes from all of the MPO regional transportation plans that are being finalized right now. WFRC just adopted theirs last week. So all of the phase 1 highway projects in there will automatically be prioritized. If a city wants to nominate a project that isn't in phase 1 to be prioritized, they can do that. But again, the commission can make the decision whether they add that to the list or not. For the other 3 project types, if it's an eligible project, it gets prioritized. So there's no, decision making there. It's just if it's determined to be eligible.
Andrea,
Uh-huh.
for those who are joining us online, can you repeat the questions?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So the question was if the nomination window will be just for the 3 types, the transit, active transportation, and first last mile. And the nomination window will actually be for all 4. But like I said, the process is a little bit different for highway. Uh-huh. So the question is, could a highway project include an interchange or the modification of an existing interchange? Yes, it doesn't, it's any highway infrastructure project. So an interchange would definitely be part of that. Again, it has to be nominated, and then for the commission would have to approve it being on the list to be prioritized. But yes, that's an eligible project. Please, oh yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, if it's already a phase 1 project, and I want to differentiate between phase 1 project and a phase 1 need, because WFRC and all the agencies had a lot of needs in phase 1 that they weren't able to fit into their fiscal constraint. So it might be a phase 1 need, but not necessarily a phase 1 project. If it is a phase 1 project, it is automatic, and it's over, there are other qualifiers. If it's over $5 million, that's the floor for TIF funding. So if it's a state project on a state highway over $5 million in phase 1, it's automatically on the list to be prioritized. Okay, any other questions? Uh-huh. Yeah, so we do include transit projects that are in phase 1, again, of the Unified Plan. What happens there, though, is because it's a little bit tricky because we don't want to be committing another agency's money. So because of the match requirement on transit projects. So if UTA submits some projects, but then a UTA project that wasn't nominated but was on phase 1 of the Unified Plan shows up at the top of the list, we work with the nominating agencies, we work with the districts, because if UTA or a different transit district isn't ready to provide the match for whatever project comes out on top, we don't want to force anybody to fund a project that they are not necessarily ready to fund. So with the transit projects, we absolutely work with the nominating entity to make sure that they are prepared to provide the match for whatever we're going to recommend. Okay. Thank you. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, or like I said, that website is a good resource, but I'm Andrea Olson at utah.gov, and it's OLSON. So, but happy to answer questions if you think of any later. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate that information. And I think we have Kelly with us now. Kelly, if you're online.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't able to join on my computer. I'm having technical difficulties getting Zoom to work.
That's okay. Go ahead. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for giving me a chance to pop in. My name's Kelly Nord. I'm a traffic ops engineer for UDOT. Part of my job is to manage all the traffic ops data that the department procures or collects and all the analytics that are associated with that. And just this last year, we have procured a new probe traffic data set, and I've negotiated a pretty substantial sharing license. So real quick, the probe traffic data, that is statewide, every road, all the way down to the major collector. It's collected anonymously from vehicle navigation systems and cell phone applications. And it's basically speeds and travel times statewide. And we've actually negotiated some of the routes that cross our state borders, like St. George to Las Vegas, or I-70 to Grand Junction, Colorado. So we've extended beyond our borders. But what I wanted to share with you guys is that this data I can share with every public agency in Utah, their contractors, their consultants, ski resort partners, tourism partners, pretty much everyone. So I can't share it with private companies that don't have any contracts or any partnerships with state or city or local governments, but that's the only exclusion. So this data is free to you guys. I wish I could show you what it looks like. This is really cool, but imagine, so do you guys, when you pull up your Apple Maps or your Google Maps on your phone, you can see a map and there's a traffic layer on there, and it's, red, green, yellow, indicating how fast speeds are on the roadways. Well, that's essentially the same data set that we've procured, is that map layer. We've got a system called ClearGuide, and you access that online. And if you Google UDOT traffic data, it will take you to the page that we've got ClearGuide on. And it'll be just the top link when you Google that. So you can access ClearGuide. You'll need an account. Accounts are free. Basically what it can do is you can pull it up for any day and actively watch what traffic did. So for example, if we had a crash on I-15 at 2 a.m. 2 weeks ago, you can pull that up for that day at that time and actually watch traffic, watch a queue develop, watch it dissipate, and you can record it, you can create videos of it, you can do analytics on it. And a new enhancement that we just launched in this system called ClearGuide is the traffic monitoring portion. So you can set up routes just like you would on your phone. When you're going to say, okay, I need to go to this restaurant, I've never been there, here's the address, you type it in and it gives you a route to follow. That's the same thing. Oh.
Maybe she was just not meant to give that presentation today. Yeah, we're not ready for it. It's above. We'll cut all of them short today. Kelly, have you gotten back on? Okay, well, we'll move on to the next item, and maybe we'll invite Kelly back to the next meeting to, because that does sound like very useful data to all of us. Yeah, let's ask her to come in person. Okay. Well, we appreciate Kelly for the short time that she was with us. We'll move on to item 3, tip business, and we'll turn the time to Ben.
All right, good morning, everybody. So today we have a couple of board items that we need to take care of. Our board modifications to the tip. As was indicated in the agenda, we've got 2 requests, both of them from Farmington City. First one is pin 16933, which is Main Street for SR 106 from Park Lane to Shepherd Lane. And then the second project is pin 18807 Farmington City project on Commerce Drive between Burke Lane and 950 North. So you'll recall here back in 2017 actually is when we reviewed this project again. 2018 is when this project was reviewed and recommended by the TAC. This request on SR 106 or Main Street was for the east side to put curb gutter and sidewalk between Park Lane and Shepherd Lane, and the request for that project, you know, the way this bar on the bottom, I can't remember what the request was. Anyway, it was recommended for the full amount. Then the following year, we requested, or Farmington City came to us for a request for the east side of that facility. No worries. We'll pull out the numbers here in just a minute. So the project estimated cost was $2.8 million. The first section estimated cost was 1.9 plus. Wow, thanks, Rosie. Look at this, 2 monitors. Do I look important or just impressive? Probably neither one. Anyway, so the request for the west side, or the east side, excuse me, was 1.8 plus million. And the request for the other side, or the west side, was a little more than $2 million. TAC recommended both of those in concurring years. That went through the process, and they've both been on the tip and have been moving up or progressing forward. The city is currently working on the project. They're in the design right now, so there's the facility there, SR 106, from Park Lane up to Shepherd Lane. And so to give you a little idea of what the project looks like there on the west side of the road, and here's a picture of it on the east side of the road. So the whole outlook of this project is there's a lot of pedestrian traffic on this. There's a lot of school children on this facility, and this facility is a very, very busy road, and the traffic volumes are high as well as the speeds are fairly quick, and Chad could give us more details if there's questions on that. So in the process of developing out this project, or in design, there were some things above and beyond what we're preparing or what you prepare for in a road. Were grade issues. We were aware of that from the beginning. But the issues from the existing asphalt to the existing home was complicated even more so. There were also 51 temporary right-of-way purchases that will be necessary through this. That amount of right-of-way is an amount that was exceeded the anticipated amount. The tying in on the driveways were more complicated due to the geometry of the road. The existing drainage of SR 106 was actually an old irrigation system, and that's not an option this time, so it requires the new design of storm drain, as well as the installation of 3 storm drain outfalls. And then, of course, we're all aware of the inflation of construction costs and materials, et cetera. Well, so the current funding status, the federal funds that were approved for the project were 3.9+ million. Local match was a little more than 368,000. That gave us a total project estimated amount of funds, 4.2+ million. The current engineer's estimate is $8 million. The city is requesting $3 million for this project, and Farmington City would cover the shortfall of that cost. Now, before you pass out onto the tables, I want to review something, because we had some pretty difficult conversations with Farmington City. $3 million is a whole nother project. If we were going through the process, as you'll recall last month when we met, there were new projects we were putting on the program that were less than $3 million. So working with Farmington City to identify ways in how we may be able to make this work, or how possibilities, Farmington went to heart, and they were looking at responsibilities they have. One of the projects that was approved here a couple of years ago was on Commerce Drive. This is a new construction between Burke Lane to 950 North. It actually ties in the West Davis with Shepherd Lane to 950. It ties all of those facilities in. The project estimated cost at the time of the request was 8.1+ million. Their request was $7.5 million to this body. When we reviewed all of that and went through the evaluation, the TAC recommended, and it was approved, for $3 million. So that $3 million is in the program, and it's coming along on this project. Well, as Farmington City was looking at the cost increase, they went out and they've been looking for additional funding in quite a few areas. However, they've been able to find additional funds and earmarks for projects, but it's all for this Commerce Drive project. So the request from Farmington City is to withdraw the Commerce Drive, Burke Lane to 950 North project. And interesting. So the pictures here are what's hiding the rest of that red box there, just in case you were curious or thought I didn't know how to spell. But here's what so with the city's request to withdraw this project, the reasons behind that is to minimize the impacts to the STP program. In lieu of that request that's being made, it also, they have committed to build the Commerce Drive as was recommended and approved by this body. And they would do that with the other resources that they've been able to identify and continue to identify for this project. So for the total board modification, it's to request that this project come off the program, and then that $3 million be amended to the Main Street project from Park Lane to Shepherd Lane. Chad, anything you would add that I might have missed? You may need the microphone if you have something.
Yeah, so first, thank you, Ben, for entertaining this. The second thing is the Commerce Drive project. It's a $23 million project that we've gone out and found, acquired a lot of funds, a lot of help from the county, a lot of help from the city, and also the private property owners through there. All the right-of-way was given to us by the property owners as part of their costs. So the city went through, as we saw this shortfall on Main Street, we've revised our impact fees to include more of this road with impact fees, putting more burden on the developers. And we've also we acquired funds from the state to cover the shortfall from trying to transfer this $3 million. And so we finally have Commerce funded in an attempt to try to also fund and finish the Main Street project. We've been putting in on this Main Street project long before I ever started working for Farmington, and that was almost 10 years ago. So so the Main Street project is very important to Farmington, so we're hoping that we can kind of withdraw the commerce funds and apply them to the Main Street project.
Thank you, Chad. Any questions from the committee? Chair?
Okay, thanks for the information about the request, and thank you for telling us to wait for the more information before we passed out. Makes a lot more sense now. So there's two items before us. Should we do them in the order that they're listed here, or should we do the withdrawal first? Does it matter? I guess to me it would make sense to make a motion on the withdraw of the $3 million from the Burke Lane or the Commerce Drive project first. So entertain a motion for that. Okay, tell us your name and Brigham City. Okay, we have a motion from Brigham City. Do we have a second? Centerville. Kevin Campbell with Centerville City, a second. So we have a motion and a second. And the motion is to withdraw the $3 million in funds from the Commerce Drive project. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And online, are there any opposed? Okay, congratulations, you lost a project. Yeah, it's rare. Okay, so the next action item would be to apply those $3 million to the Main Street project in Farmington. We'll entertain a motion for that. Again, from Brigham City. Your name again? Paul Larson with Brigham City. Thank you, Paul. Do we have a second? Second, Adam Favero with Clearfield City. You're still with Clearfield, right? Okay, good. Okay, we have a motion and a second to apply the $3 million to the Main Street project in Farmington. All in favor? Say aye. Sorry, you need instructions, right? Any opposed? And online, are there any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Congratulations.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. The next item that we have to talk about is the draft programs recommended for the draft 24-29 Transportation Improvement Program to go out for public review and comment. As you'll recall, in our last meeting, actually, why don't we do this with the slides there? So in our last meeting here, when we had the opportunity to meet at the end of March, this body made a recommendation of the projects. From that information that we provided to you, you made a recommendation to TransCom. TransCom reviewed all of that information, and then they made a recommendation to the Regional Council. Regional Council met last Thursday and approved those projects to move into the draft program. Now, theoretically, we would have all of the draft programs prepared for you with the draft tip to hand to you right now. That's still in the works, and we're still working on it. What we intend to do, or what we want to do, is go through everything on the new programs or the new projects for the programs that was reviewed and recommended. And then when we prepare this material as a part of going out for the public review and comment, we want to send to the TAC committees the tables of all of those projects, essentially the draft program that will be out for public review and comment. We'll get on into that in just a minute. So You'll recall here in the Ogden-Layton area, we had 55 projects that totaled more than the $387 million. You can see what the requests were to remind you there in the SDP, more than 89 million requests, and you can see that for the CMAC, the TAP, and the CRP, and you can see above that the number of projects for each of those programs. Now, what you haven't seen is in the Salt Lake area, they had 70 projects that were submitted for evaluation, totaling more than $595 million. You can see they had 33 STP projects totaling more than 148, 14 CMAC, 10 TAP, 13 CRP. So all of the materials were in the sheets that you had an opportunity to make recommendations from. That information was provided to TransCom and the regional councils. And then what was approved was the 7 projects in the Ogden-Layton area, the 10 projects in the Salt Lake area, and the surface transportation program. Here's a list of what those 7 projects were in the Ogden-Layton urban area. Hopefully these are familiar to you. You remember them, been sleeping and thinking all about them, sharing them at family night, all of the 9 yards, giving everyone just an opportunity to know and understand what these projects were. There were 10 projects in the Salt Lake area, and they did the same thing you guys did. Well, then in the CMAC program, we had 4 projects that were recommended in the Ogden-Layton, 5 projects in the Salt Lake West Valley, and I'm sorry the totals there are hid from you. This is a list of those projects that were recommended, and so with the correction there, but you can see that we've got some pretty good projects that were being recommended between the 2 urban areas. In the TAP program, there were 4 projects. In the Ogden-Layton area, there were 5 projects in the Salt Lake West Valley. Here's the Ogden-Layton area. They total more than 2.8 million. And then in Salt Lake, they had 3.4 million on those 5 projects that were recommended. One thing as to note here, when I presented this to the regional council, it looked great, looked sweet, and I'm confessing my mistake because it was so embarrassing. But I had Redwood Road for South Ogden City's street name, and the mayor that was on the airplane saw that, and he was joined the meeting via phone. He pointed it out, and so that was a test, and he passed. And then in the carbon reduction program, there were 3 projects in both of the urban areas that were recommended, and here's a list of those projects. Now, these lists, we'll also provide them to the TAC committees there as a prelude to the tables so that you can look at those in a manner that will enable you to identify and relate with them. So what does that do for us, or where are we at? So from that information then that was provided and when the regional council took action, that gave us approval to take all of those projects and now build them into the draft 24-29 Transportation Improvement Program. That program then will go out for public review and comment during the month of July. TransCom will take your recommendations for them to send it out for public review and comment. And then in August, we'll talk about the August meeting in a minute, but in August, we'll come back to you with any information that was, boy, we're gonna miss some of the things with that bottom bar there, but let's just go through here. So TransCom will meet on the 15th of June. They'll take your recommendations and make a recommendation that we go out for public review and comment. That public review and comment will begin on the 24th of June, which is a Saturday, and will conclude on Saturday, the 29th of July. During that time, we will have 2 public open houses, one on the 11th in the Ogden-Layton area there at the Intermodal Center, and one on the 13th down in Salt Lake at the, I got them reversed, don't I? Anyway, it'll be at, one's at the Ogden-Layton Urban, or Alma, what do we call that? Intermodal Center. There we go, thanks. drew a blank. I was looking at my awesome drawings up here and just lost total memory of where we're at. Then we will meet back in August. Right now we have the second highlighted, but this will, as mentioned, will be discussed. Then TransCom will meet on the 17th. TransCom will take your recommendations to recommend to the Regional Council that the 2024-2029 TIP be approved. The Regional Council will take action on the 24th. And then that information will be prepared and submitted to UDOT to be combined with the other MPOs, so we have the full statewide transportation improvement program to be submitted to federal highways and federal transit during the month of September, with the anticipation that the sun will rise on October 2nd, we'll have a brand new transportation improvement program. Now, what you can't see on the bottom line is that blue arrow that goes across all the bottom. The next round will begin in August. So what we want to do is encourage the preparation for the next go around, looking at projects, looking at opportunities that you can be preparing and submit a letter of intent when that all. So that takes care of the two information items under the Transportation Improvement Program. Any questions on any of that? 11th and 13th. So the 11th, I believe, is Region 2, and the 13th is Region 1. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for the good information. Next item is a city presentation, and I thought I was free from doing the city presentation since I was the chair, but I guess not. But I'm happy to give a real brief presentation about West Point City today. And if I need to cut it short, Jeff, just raise your hand and I'll stop, okay? Hey, I just want to give a brief overview of West Point City, who we are, what's out here. You've all driven out here today and seen how beautiful West Point is. We love this city. I've worked here for 20 years, seen a lot of growth in the time that I've been here, and really enjoy this community. It's a little hard to see our boundary there on the map, but you see, oh, it's not changing online. Just a minute. Let me try that one more time. Is it changing for you now? No. Well, presentations are not meant to be today. We look back here. Is it your fault? It's over? We're done. I'm good with that. Okay, let's try it one more time. If this doesn't work, then Jeff wins. Yeah. Still not seeing it there, huh? I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah. I guess those online are just going to get the audio version. Yeah, we'll send it out. Yes. I think that's what I'm doing. But yeah, yeah. That's what you're seeing? Yeah, and is it clicking through? Okay, yeah, they can still see the small version of what you're seeing here. Okay. I'm gonna go extra fast now, Jeff. Okay, there's the boundary of West Point City. We're called West Point City because we're the furthest west municipality in Davis County. We come right out here close to the lake, obviously. We're surrounded by Clinton City on the north, Syracuse on the south, Clearfield on the east, all great neighbors. We love working with all of them. And then we're surrounded by a big area of unincorporated Davis County on the northwest. And they don't even believe they're in Davis County. They think they're in Hooper City of Weber County, but they're actually in Davis County. And we anticipate a bit of this area will annex into the city someday. We also have a beautiful golf course, Schneider's Bluff. Come play it sometime. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Just some quick stats. So we're just over 12,000 in population, 7 square miles in area. We have 3 elementary schools and 2 junior highs. We have an elementary and a junior high that are under construction right now. The junior high that's under construction is the most expensive building that Davis School District has ever built. Something like $400 million for a junior high school. So yeah, prices have gotten expensive. Almost $500 million, $400 million for the junior high. We have 1 commercial center, a Smith's grocery store, and some other shopping around that. 46 centerline miles of roads, and we are crisscrossed by several state highways. Most important, those last 2, SR 193, which most of you probably came down today, SR 193 and the West Davis Highway converge at the south boundary of West Point City. So that's going to bring a big change. Those 2 roads will open sometime next year and will change the landscape out here quite a bit. Here's our current zoning. You can see there's a lot of green on that map, all agricultural. We still have a lot of room to grow out here. And you can see the orange color is a lot of our residential that's starting to come in. Clinton and Syracuse, they're reaching capacity, and all that growth is kind of spilling over into West Point now. So we've experienced a lot of growth in the last 3 years. In fact, in fiscal year 22, we hit 300 building permits in 1 year, which was huge for us. We were used to 50 permits per year. Now, of course, with the turn down in the market, we're back to about 20 permits per year. But we were really cruising there for a little while. This is our general plan showing most of the city is planned to be residential. We plan on some commercial growth around the interchange of the West Davis Highway and SR 193. And we also show that large area up the unincorporated area that we anticipate will become part of the city. We just did redid our traffic master plan, and these are some of the traffic counts. And I just wanted to point out one road. After the last extension of SR 193 was completed, it dead-ended here at 3000 West, which is just a small local collector road, and it dumped a lot of traffic on that road. We're up to 9,000 cars per day on that road now, which is huge for us. Nothing for UDOT or for some of your roads, but That's big for us. That's the busiest street, the highest traffic we have on any of our local streets. And the reason I point that road out is because that was a STIP-funded project several years ago. So I just want to give a brief overview of this project. It was recommended by this body right here. We received the funding, we've went through construction, and it was a much needed road. And we were really glad that we had that in place before 193 dumped all that traffic on us. Still a little bit hard to see, but this is 3000 West. So at the same time West Point City did our project, Clinton City did a project to extend 3000 West up into Hooper and connected the road through. There was a gap in that road for a long time. And also Syracuse is working on their project to the south. The dots that I show there are roundabouts. So when the three cities did these projects, we went all in on roundabouts. We got 5 roundabouts within a 2-mile section there. So we really love them. Roundabouts, some of you have probably started putting in roundabouts. These are working pretty well. This is one of the roundabouts here on 800 North, right in front of Lakeside Elementary. The one difficult part about roundabouts is school traffic and crossing guards. It works great, but we do have to have 2 crossing guards there, and it does get pretty congested. We have to keep a close eye on it, but the speeds are generally pretty slow through the roundabouts as well, and we can make a function. We actually have one crossing guard just step into the roundabout. They can shut down all traffic in all 4 directions by just stopping the whole roundabout. And then they can easily get kids through there. And so it does work pretty well. This is one of the roundabouts at 550 North. This leads to the junior high. This one gets very busy. Just for fun, I went and took a drone video. This is the only reason I did this whole presentation, so I could use our drone and show you a video of this. You can see some bikers, some bikes going through, several vehicles. The only thing we really miss here is you've got to see this during the school rush hour traffic. It's pretty crazy, and it gets busy, but it still works. However, there is one thing that I'm concerned about with this roundabout and some of our others, and you may be able to guess by seeing the wheel paths on the roundabout. You notice there is a lot more traffic in this north-south direction than there is in the east-west direction. And if you're not familiar with roundabouts work best when you have equal traffic in all 4 directions. This is still functioning okay, but I am concerned when, as traffic increases over time, that this could fail. So as you're considering roundabouts, that's one thing that I would caution you to think about is, do you have equalized traffic in all 4 directions? If not, a roundabout may not be your best option.
Boyd, we have a question in the chat
Yes.
from Jay Aguilar. Were roundabouts your first, I want to say he meant to ask first option, and were they always readily acceptable or accepted by the public?
Yeah, good question. No, they weren't always readily accepted by the public, and neither by our city council originally. We did have a couple of city council members that were very in favor of roundabouts. They really liked them. And so they asked us we did several presentations to the city council about it and had some public meetings about it. And in the end, they felt more comfortable about it and decided to do these. What was the other question? Was it our first option?
Yes.
It was because of the funding that we had would pay for a roundabout. It would not pay for a signal. So yes, it was our best option with the funding that we had. We were also
I-
replacing, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just actually meant, were they the first roundabouts you'd ever put in the city?
Oh, yeah, yes, they were the first roundabouts we put in the city. Yes, thank you. And they replaced four-way stop controlled intersections, and these are much better. Yeah, Chad. Excellent question. Chad just asked, why did we choose concrete for the roundabouts? We learned from others' mistakes, honestly. There's some other roundabouts close by that were done in asphalt. The asphalt fells very quickly in a roundabout. I think it's that constant turning motion on the asphalt. The asphalt and the base courses underneath can fell very quickly. So we had seen that in some others, and talking to others that had done them, they highly recommended concrete. We are very glad that we did them in concrete. Haven't had an issue at all. Of course, someday we expect these to, could last 50 years. Someday it will be painful to replace these, but we think we're going to get a lot of life out of these. And I would highly recommend concrete. So last slide, Jeff. Just a quick project overview. So this was done back in 2015 and 2016. It was a joint project with Clinton City, great partners. We've done several projects with Clinton City. Staker Parson was the contractor. The bid was $2.1 million. I dare you to get a price like that nowadays. This would probably be 4 or 5 times as much now. 1.5 miles, 3 roundabouts just on the West Point City project. I put up there complete street because we completed the curb gutter sidewalk. Both sides have shared bike lanes, shoulders, completed everything. And then just lessons learned. Chad, number one, he guessed it right there, concrete. Number one lesson, the concrete in the roundabouts was a good decision that we made. Also an acquisition agent, we had to acquire some properties and some easements. Recommendation is just to get a good qualified acquisition agent. It's a painful process. You need somebody that really knows that process. And then construction easements and damages, we paid every property owner along there. We bought a temporary easement and then paid them damages for landscaping and so forth. At the end, we weren't so sure we wanted to do that. We would have rather just repaired the landscaping ourselves with the project. It became very difficult working with each property owner, and we felt like there was a never-ending list of requests by the end when we went through that negotiating process with them. So I think we would have done it differently. In fact, we did it differently on our next project because of that. So that was our project, and a little bit about West Point City. We love roundabouts out here. Go around them on your way out. Happy to answer any questions if there are any. Okay, Jeff, no questions? All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, this is all a local road. We do connect to SR 193 on the south end, but that was outside of our project limits. Yeah. Oh. Okay, great. Thank you very much. By the way, the next presentation will be by Woods Cross City, if they're listening. You'll be at the next meeting, and they'll also be providing the refreshments, so double whammy. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Brett Slater with UDOT Region 1. Brett, the time is yours.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm Brett Slater with UDOT. I'm the Region 1 Program Manager. If you don't know who I am. Ben asked me last week if I'd give a quick presentation. So what I thought I would do is, if this will play right, I would like to have a little bit more room. It'll work out. But yeah, let me see if I can. Oh yeah, that's better because I want the mouse. That's perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I thought I'd do is I would just show you how to get in and look at our program. It's actually pretty easy. So I just did a Google search, looked up UDOT. Then from in here, you can just scroll down. So this is the UDOT's home page. So there's a lot of things you can find on here. We're pretty transparent. But if you'll just scroll down until you see the capital, and then you can scroll down until you see Transportation Commission. If you click on that, this is the Transportation Commission's webpage. And then you'll come down and then you'll see it says the 2024 Draft Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, Get on Projects. We're not going to go through all of them, but I'll just show you exactly how to get here. This is what we call the STIP app. And if you click up here on Region 1, and then over here on the left, there's a toggle where you can look at our TIF projects, transportation solution, pavement, structures, and then in traffic and safety, you can look at the signal project and the HSIP program. So usually everyone's pretty interested in the transportation solutions program. It's a little smaller pot this year than normal. Normally each region has about 10 to 12 million dollars we get to play with. And these are projects that are not, we can't fund them very well through our pavement program or our structure program. So these are smaller projects. Sidewalk, culvert repair, wildlife fencing, just different things. So I thought we'd go in and I can show you what we are looking at here. So here is our list. They have on here from 2021 to 24. If it was approved in 21, it's most likely already been built. 22, most likely it's already been built. So if we'll just come up here to project year, then we can go to the last page. These you can see are the 6 projects that were approved for Region 1 out of our transportation solution pot. So we are looking at to do add turn lanes on SR 126. This would be in Marriott Slaterville at 700 South. It's right down the hill from 12th Street. So there's some pretty good accidents that are occurring there. You come off the hill, cars are picking up quite a bit of speed, and it's a 2-lane road right there. So this would just add left turn lanes just to get people out of the road. The next project, and then if you want to see a little bit about it, there is if it's green, there's a 1-pager. So we'll click on this one on SR 102. So it'll take you to a picture, give you just a little bit of a brief description on that project. You see the value of it. So this is a 4-way stop in Box Elder County, and this would turn it into a signalized intersection. So that's how you see the transportation solution project. You can just see exactly which ones we are only we were only approved for 6 projects this year. Okay, if you come back over, you can see, let's just jump into pavement really quick. Most of our program is in our high volume pavement. And so what's nice about this is this should just help you as cities know where we're going to be spending our money next year. You're always kind of wondering where we're going to do our work. And for your permits, for work that you're trying to do, you can actually look ahead. You can see what we're planning. So if you look here, these are, if it's in, so you'll want to go to the 2024 program. That would be construction in 24. So everything in 23, for the most part, that is going out to construction right now. But here's our 2024 program. You can see, and this is, so we're just looking at Region 1. Again, you can look over here and you can look at a little one pager on each of the projects. So if it's in your city or your county, you can jump in there and look at it and see what that project's about, what we're doing. Most of our preservation projects this year we are doing a bonded overlays or chip seals. That's we only have one or two rehabilitation projects on here. The major one is actually on Legacy Highway. We're actually going to be pulling off. So if you can see it right here, we're actually going back to the Transportation Commission in June to ask for more funds on this project. We're just going to pull off 1.5 inches of HMA, and we're going to put back 2 inches of SMA, so stone matrix asphalt, which it just supports, gives a little bit more structure to that pavement. But here's so just wanted to show you the pavement program. The one that everyone's, you can also go into the structures. A lot of this is our bridge formula program in there. You can look to see if there's a bridge on the bridge formula program in your cities. I think we are taking care of a lot of the structures. So again, look at what's in the future. That's the best way to do it is come down and see what's out there. Not all the bridge formula program, not all the structures or the bridge formula projects have a one pager, but if they do, you can look at it over here. Then the next category that a lot of people are kind of interested in is the TIF. These are your major projects. All of our major projects are state funded. So on this list, you're going to see Shepherd Lake Interchange, 1800 North Interchange, 5600 South, the new interchange. On here is the money we just put towards the extension of West Davis. So the West Davis Highway ends at 193. We took to the Transportation Commission last month to extend that from 193 to 1800 North. Currently, what was funded is only a 2-lane road. We know that it's needed a 4-lane, so most likely we're going to go and do a reevaluation on the original EIS. Then we would look at putting a 4-lane section in from 193 to 1800 North, and that's on. So you can look here. That's on one of our TIF projects. This kind of gives you an idea of the dollar amount, what's out there, and then you have the major I-15 project, which is showing at 1.7 billion. This is to widen I-15 to I believe it's a 5+1 is what they're looking at. The environmental they are in the middle of the environmental document. It's an EIS. It should be completed within the next, probably another year or so to complete that project. And then after that, they'll go to begin the design or take the design to a certain point where we could go get a design builder on that project. But I think that's what I wanted to show you. We're pretty open. You can jump in here anytime. You can see what's coming up. And then if you have questions on these projects or what's taking place on them, so what we'd like to do is we'd like to be able to coordinate, especially if you have, if you're trying to fix a water line or you're trying to do work, like most of these projects, especially for the pavement projects, once we put a new surface on it, we do try to put a moratorium on that pavement for a certain period of time, so we just don't come right behind us and cut it up. That's definitely not our intention. So we'd love to get in front, work with the cities to get in front of that. But you always can give me a call too. So I can walk through the current projects that we have in construction now, and I can help you with the projects that we have coming up in the future. So, okay, that's all I got. I doubt no one ever honors a full 3, but I think that's what it states on the website, but a bond barely lasts, So we definitely don't want to cut it that same year or the next. The preference is, and then if you have to, there's some things we can do, especially if all we're doing is a bonded. There's some stuff we can do to come and patch that back up. But bonded's expensive to get a layer to come put a small section. If it's just HMA, no big deal, right? You just come do your cut, but to come get them and re-put this seal coat on it, that's where the price comes in. find our Zoom app, I could quit sharing. There we go. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate that. Next item is a presentation from Eric Callison on the UTA 5-year service plan. I believe Eric is online. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, I'm online. I see my face on the big screen in the room, so hopefully that means you can see and hear me. I do have a short presentation. We've had bad luck with those today, but I'll do my best. Let's see. Does everybody see the bus driver's shoulder?
Yes, we can see that.
All right, perfect. So I'm Eric Callison, Manager of Service Planning at UTA. And the most important thing that we do at UTA, of course, is make the 5-year service plan, at least for me. But this is a process that we go through every 2 years. And we recently approved this 5-year service plan with our Board of Trustees in March of 2023. So I was asked, Wayne asked if I could share this with you. I won't go into a whole lot of detail today. But if there's questions, or also I have the website here, you're welcome to peruse the 5-year service plan at your convenience. And if you have any questions, or if you'd like to talk about a particular part of it, and we don't have time to do that today, I'm available, or someone on my team can work with you or people from your city or your entity. Basically, the 5-year service plan, and I'm testing the limits of PowerPoint's graphics here, but 5-year service plan is a list of all of the things that we believe that we can do in the next 5 years. It's not the things that we want to do. It's not even necessarily the things that we need to do. You know, there's lots of transit needs, lots of transit wants in our area. We're very flattered that the main complaint that we get is that we wish that there was more transit. We also wish that there was more transit. And so we hope to be able to provide that, but this is kind of a way of showing this is where we are, this is where we think we're going in the short term. So just to kind of go over that really quickly is, you know, we have this input area here. We do get lots of feedback from members of our community, from other government agencies, from business owners, from service providers. We have our own operating data that we study how each route is doing. We are able to look at you know, demographic changes and growth projections that are provided by WFRC and other groups, and basically gives us a list of needs that we then put through several different gates. You know, we do public outreach. What does the community want? What do they want first? What are we able to accommodate within our budget, within our staffing levels? Staffing is the big constraint now, as you may have heard. You know, we are doing lots of different things to try to expand our hiring pool, but that is kind of what's holding us back from adding more service than we're able to at the moment. We also look at capital needs. You know, what kinds of projects or infrastructure improvements would need to go in for this, and that is, once everything's kind of gone through those gates, so this is what we believe that we can do in the next 5 years. We have these arrows coming down off of here. Our first ever long-range transit plan is currently in development. There's a lot of things that are not in the 5-year service plan that will go into the long-range transit plan that we identify. Yes, these are things that we need to do, or things that we feel like would be very beneficial for the area. But we need additional funding, or we need additional projects, or we're just not quite there yet. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to do it. Doesn't mean that it's not something that we can do. It's just, in the future, it's just something that's going to be a little bit beyond the scope of the 5-year service plan. Then every year we take the 5-year service plan. We do another round of public outreach. We look at operational feasibility with our operations and facilities folks. We do a Title VI analysis for the Civil Rights Act, and that gives us our final service implementation. The 5-year service plan is an important step on the way to implementing service. It's not the final step, but it is what informs, basically, this is what's going to happen the next few years, the next few change days at UTA. Here's just a glance of what's in the current 5-year service plan. There's a number of things for this year, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail and a little bit less detail as we get further out. You'll notice that there is a list of vision items as well. These are things that we think could be accomplished in the short term, mainly if we're able to hire, I guess, faster than our current predictions. And a lot of the stuff that's in the vision list now will go into the long range transit plan in the future, as well as more stuff like future projects. So in 2023, we do have a couple of big things coming up. We have OGX that will serve between the Ogden Frontrunner Station, Ogden Intermodal Center, and Weber State, serve downtown Ogden, Harrison Boulevard. We've already seen enormous ridership on the short portion of the line that's open in Weber State. We went from basically not having that line at all to having over 2,000 boardings a day just on that little portion of the lines. We feel very good about putting this service in. This is one of the OGX buses here. And if you haven't seen our little dedicated lane at Weber State, it's very cool. Hope to be able to do things like that in the future as well. We will be increasing Saturday track service. That was not on the plan for last year, but that was what we got the most comments about. So that's like a write-in candidate winning the election. We expect to see quite a bit of ridership from that. We are moving our Park City service to High Valley Transit, which is the transit provider for Summit County. We'll be making a number of flex route changes as well, both in Salt Lake County and in Brigham City. That's coming this August change day, which is currently scheduled for August 20th. You should be seeing some material coming out from us on our website as well on social media. If you don't follow us on social media, that's a great place to find out about anything that's coming down the pike. Any public engagement opportunities will be published there as well as on our website. We also have a mailing list. There's a number of ways. If you are not getting these updates, we would like everyone to be as involved as possible. So consider either following us on social media, reaching out. We can get you in touch with our community engagement folks and get you in that pipeline if you're not. We do have a number of other changes in the 5-year service plan, as I mentioned, improvements to the local service in Ogden City, as well as in Salt Lake County on the west side and in Rose Park. We have 200 South improvements going on right now that the city's working on. We'll be improving some transit service in that area as well. Salt Lake Ogden Regional Service, this is routes 455 and 470, AKA the longest routes ever. We will be splitting those routes in Farmington, and current plan is to improve the level of service between Farmington and Ogden on what is currently the 470. New route 600 would be 15-minute service on weekdays and Saturdays. That's a very big transit market for us. We expect to see a lot of return on that investment, as well as a lot of benefit to the communities along that line. The Mid-Valley Connector Project, Mid-Valley Connector Project in Taylorsville and West Valley and Murray. Also Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs, kind of the new transit frontier. Not a lot of transit in that area now, but we will be providing some express service or some limited stop service to those areas, as well as 5600 West Line in Salt Lake County, which would connect the airport, International Center, and the whole west side of the valley. There's quite a bit on the list. But you may have noticed that there might not be the thing that you were looking for or the thing that you're hoping that UTA is doing. We do have a number of things as well on the vision list, which includes a lot of additional local service throughout our service area, as well as additional UTA on-demand service. We currently have 4 on-demand areas, and we are catching up a little bit. The demand on those services grew faster than we anticipated, which is good. But we are working on managing that demand before we deploy additional service. We have, with our service provider VIA, we have studied 20 additional microtransit service areas throughout the Wasatch Front. And we have a lot of information on where we could go next with that. But we are just figuring out how to do this as a relatively new service for us. And the community has really latched onto it, and our main problem right now is just trying to keep up with the demand. So we hope to be able to improve that as well on the vision list. And again, like I say, everything that's on the vision list will go into the long range transit plan. There will be opportunities to review that and to have input on that later this year as well. And then also there are a number of projects I'm sure you're aware of. You know, we have the Davis Salt Lake Community Connector. We have improvements to Front Runner. We have the Point of the Mountain Transit Study, Central Corridor. That basically goes from the southern end of Utah County all the way to Provo, or southern end of Salt Lake County, sorry, all the way to Provo. We have the Cottonwood Canyons is a hot button item right now. So there's a lot of things in the pipeline. Not all of them are in the 5-year service plan right now. That doesn't mean they're not happening. It just means that they're not in our next steps, short-term implementation. That was a whirlwind tour of the 5-year service plan. Wayne told me I could have 6 or 7 minutes. But if there are questions, let me get out of this so that I can see if there's anything in the chat. Or if anybody has any questions. I can't hear the room, but I can hear the mic. And also, like I said, anything that we need to follow up on, I'm happy to make myself available after this meeting or come to another meeting if you have questions.
Eric, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Eric? Okay, great. Eric, thank you for the good information. We really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of transit, he mentioned the OGX line in Ogden. They're having under our other business, the first meeting is, or the first item is the August meeting adjustments because of the ribbon cutting for the OGX line. Is that right? So Ben, do you want to come up and maybe guide us on that?
So it was brought to our attention that the OGX has a big day on August 2nd. That's when our next TAC meeting is scheduled. And we thought we'd come back to this body here and get recommendations from you. There are options we can go. If that's an event that you feel that it was, I'm going to change the way I was coming at that, because I was going to say, if that's something that you think was important, it is important, so we're not going to go that way. If that's something that would be more supported, and we don't want to create a conflict from this body, and so we would recommend that we make an adjustment to this meeting if that was the feel of the committee. Some of the options we'd look at is either make the meeting earlier, say we go 8 to 10, or, and we'd probably have to throw in some incentives there that we bring a breakfast or additional treats. But, you know, from Brigham City, you might just want to camp over. You've got cots, yeah. So, you know, you can come the night before. But, or we change the day of the meeting, would be the other option. So the 3 options are leave it as where it is, meet earlier, or change the date. And the date we'd probably recommend is we move the meeting to a Thursday. Because whatever we decide to do here, Salt Lake is going to just automatically have to follow suit. So, you know, what do you want Salt Lake to do? Not that they'll meet at 8, they'll meet at their regular time at 2. But if we change the meeting day, that meeting time will be reflected for Salt Lake as well. Does that make sense? Kinda? So, Boyd, or Mr. Chair, if you want to direct the discussion there.
Sure. So anybody have any thoughts on that? Would you rather do an 8 o'clock meeting or switch to a different day? I'm not even awake at 8 o'clock. Is anybody opposed to, I mean, I'll just throw my opinion out there, a different day? And you suggested Thursday that same week, just one day later than normal. Anybody opposed to switching to Thursday? Okay. How about anybody online? Anybody have any thoughts? Yes. By raise of hands, how many are going to the ribbon cutting? We got 2, 3, 4. Ben better be there. Depends on what we do. Does anybody want Ben to go to the ribbon cutting? Yeah, there's just a few that are involved in that, but I think I'm still okay switching to Thursday so we can accommodate everybody. If anybody's not opposed to Thursday, then I'll make the executive decision. Thursday it is. Let Salt Lake know. That way you can go to the ribbon cutting, Ben. Okay, also under the other business, Hugh has something to say about the bike count program survey. Hugh, do you want to take a minute?
Yeah, thanks, Boyd, and I'll just be
Oh, Hugh,
really
can you
quick.
pause? Can you pause
Oh,
for
I can
one
pause.
second?
Absolutely.
We have a question about the previous
August 3rd.
August 3rd. Thursday, August 3rd at 10 a.m., our normal time. Okay, go ahead, Hugh.
Thank you. So just quickly, I threw a link in the chat, and this information will come out in the follow-up email. But some of the transportation partners, UDOT, MAG, UTA, WFRC, are working on an active transportation count program, trying to get on the same page, understand how people are being counted on bikes and walking, and how we can absorb that data and house it and distribute it and make sure we're counting people in the right places. And we know some of this work is going on throughout the region, but we want to get a better handle on that. So as you can see, we have a survey out right now. And so if you know anybody, whether it's a colleague in your city or in your county that is involved in counting people on bikes or people walking, we'd love to hear from them. Some of you will get additional follow-up. Bartley, you're one of them. We're going to follow up directly with you for an interview, hopefully. So the survey would go beyond that. But you have folks that are involved in that. We just trying to get as much information on what's currently happening within the region as possible, so we're not duplicating efforts, so we can all get on the same page and improve our data collection and storage for people biking and walking, etc. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions you have, but otherwise, the link is in the chat. We'll put it in the follow-up email, and it goes to this website, and there's a survey that's live right now. Appreciate the time. Hope that some of you are able to take this for us. Thanks.
Thanks, Hugh. Now there's one other item. Brooke Stewart with Weber County, correct? Has one other item.
Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me online. I am Brooke Stewart. I am with Weber County. For those that you don't know me, I manage the local transportation funds for Weber County. Those transportation funds have some upcoming funding opportunities with the deadline approaching soon, so we wanted to just give a quick notice while we're here. Letters of intent are due for local transportation funds Monday, June 6th. Local governments and the transit districts can apply for funding out of our corridor preservation funds or our third quarter cent sales tax funds for transit projects or capacity expansion and congestion mitigation projects. So just wanted to let you all know that deadline is coming up. Again, letters of intent are Monday, June 5th. Is that what I said? Monday, June 6th? I'll have to look. 5th. It's the 5th. Monday, June 5th. And then once we receive those letters, we'll be reaching back out to the applicants and forwarding on the application information. So the deadline for applications will be the following month, Monday, June 10th, or July 10th, sorry. So if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, send me an email if you have eligibility questions, and I'd be happy to help you through the process. Well, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay. Okay. If we sneak it in there, yeah, you may not notice. Okay, I think that's everything. Is there anything else anybody needs to bring up? Okay, then our meeting. Oh, Wayne, do you want the microphone?
Yeah. If anybody did not get an opportunity to put your name on the sign-in sheet, please do before you go. Thanks.
Thank you, Wayne. We are adjourned. Appreciate it.